Eternity doesn't mean much if you don't have someone to share it with. Burn in hell!
You're just gonna keep hiding in the dark and killing humans indefinitely?
Yes.
There's a certain kind of horror movie that doesn't want you to feel safe. Not because it's relentless or brutal, but because it smiles at you first. It flirts. It invites you in. And then it quietly asks whether you're ready to bleed for your bad decisions. Vampires of the Velvet Lounge feels exactly like that kind of film. The first thing that caught my attention wasn't the blood or the fangs. It was the tone. This isn't a vampire story that hides what it is. It leans into seduction, excess, and dark humor with confidence. From the moment the trailer opens, you can feel that this movie knows exactly how twisted it wants to be. Strand Releasing has officially dropped the trailer for Vampires of the Velvet Lounge, an independent horror comedy written, directed, and produced by Adam Sherman. And if you're even slightly tired of sanitized vampire stories, this one looks ready to bite back. The film draws inspiration from the unsettling legend of Elizabeth Báthory, the 16th century Hungarian countess rumored to have bathed in the blood of virgins to preserve her youth. But instead of retelling that story directly, Vampires of the Velvet Lounge reimagines it through a modern, glitter-soaked nightmare of nightlife, dating apps, and predatory charm. At the center of the story is a group of glamorous vampires operating in the American South. They're stylish, confident, dangerous, and they hunt lonely singles by luring them into luxurious absinthe bars under the promise of connection, intimacy, and desire. Youth is their currency. Blood is their reward. For them, this system works perfectly, until it doesn't. The problem begins when they swipe right on the wrong profiles. Instead of emotionally vulnerable victims, they match with a clever undercover vampire hunter and a group of men who are far less evolved than expected. What was supposed to be a clean hunt spirals into chaos. Seduction turns into survival. Control dissolves into panic, and the night becomes a collision of horror and comedy that refuses to play by safe rules. Adam Sherman has described this film as the kind of horror movie he loved growing up. Wild, disturbing, packed with dark humor, and most importantly, designed for the big screen. That intention shows in the trailer's visuals. Everything looks sharp, polished, and unapologetically stylish. Velvet interiors, high heels on blood-stained floors, neon lighting that makes every shadow feel alive. This isn't subtle horror, it's theatrical. Loud in its confidence, but beneath that surface is something much more pointed. Vampires of the Velvet Lounge isn't just mocking dating culture or vampire mythology, it's turning both into weapons. The tagline says it all: swipe right, die tonight. What makes the concept work is how seriously the film takes its own absurdity. It doesn't wink at the camera, it commits. The vampires are genuinely dangerous, the blood is real, and the consequences are final. That commitment is what allows the comedy to land without undercutting the horror. The cast only strengthens that balance. Mena Suvari brings a controlled intensity that feels perfect for this kind of seductive menace. Dichen Lachman adds a cold elegance that makes every glance feel calculated. Stephen Dorff, naturally, looks completely at home in a morally grey, dangerous role. Timothy V. Murphy, Sarah Dumont, and Will Redmond round out a group that feels deliberately chosen to blur the line between predator and prey. There's something refreshing about how the film treats its vampires. They aren't tortured romantics, they aren't tragic anti-heroes. They are killers who enjoy what they do, and the trailer doesn't apologize for that. In fact, one of the most striking lines openly asks whether hiding in the dark and killing humans forever is the plan. The answer is immediate: yes. That honesty sets the tone for everything that follows. Visually, the movie feels almost decadent. There's a glossy, nightlife aesthetic that contrasts sharply with the violence underneath it. Blood doesn't feel grimy here. It feels theatrical, almost celebratory. That contrast gives the film its unique edge. It's disturbing, but it's also playful in a deeply unsettling way. Adam Sherman's experience as an independent filmmaker shows through in the control of tone. This isn't chaos for chaos' sake, it's carefully structured mayhem. He's previously worked on films like Dead Doll, Crazy Eyes, She's Just a Shadow, and this game's called Murder, and you can feel that familiarity with morally off-center storytelling here. The story thrives on escalation. What begins as a seductive game quickly becomes a high-stakes fight for survival. Alliances shift, power dynamics collapse, and the line between hunter and hunted disappears entirely. Nobody feels safe, not even the vampires. That unpredictability is where the film's energy comes from. You're not watching to see how it ends. You're watching to see who loses control next. Strand Releasing is set to bring Vampires of the Velvet Lounge to select theaters across the United States starting March 20, 2026. That release strategy feels right. This is the kind of film that begs to be experienced with an audience. Laughter, gasps, and discomfort feeding off each other in real time. This isn't a movie trying to redefine vampire mythology. It's doing something far more interesting. It's weaponizing it, using beauty, desire, and humor to pull you in before reminding you that monsters don't need permission to exist. If you're looking for a horror comedy that doesn't dilute its darkness and doesn't apologize for its bloodlust, this one should absolutely be on your radar. Because in this lounge, nobody swipes for survival. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.